pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody on behalf of the Cumberland Board of Education and remind people, please, to quiet your phones, silence them, put them away, please, unless they're used for business. Appreciate that. Executive session was held on February 10th, 2022 from 8:10 p.m. to 8:47 p.m. for contractual and legal matters. Roll call. Oh, we also had a executive session from 6:32 to 7 p.m. for also contractual and personnel matters.
Mr. Coleman? Mr. Fair?
Here.
Mr. Gansey?
Here.
Dr. Kraus?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Dr. Matches?
Here.
Mr. May?
Here.
Mr. Pratt?
Here.
Mrs. Boyce?
Here.
9-0.
Now observe a moment of silent meditation, please. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of January 20, 2022.
So moved.
Mr. May, second by Mr. Gansey. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Any unfinished business? Need a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Mr. Woodruff?
Second.
Mr. May, second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Before we get to remarks, Mrs. Rebecca said that she has some students here that would like to.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Martin. So I have two sets of students, and I apologize for having so many, but last time the weather wasn't so good, so I asked them to stay away. But I'd like to start with my student council representatives. I have Gabby Uzani and Gina Reeves, and they just want to update you on some activities that the student council has been doing. So if you guys want to come up to the podium, please.
So this year, the student council has done a lot for like the town and the school. For homecoming, we advertised around the town by painting windows on local shops. We did ask permission, and after homecoming was all over, we did go and clean them. We also put together homecoming all together, which includes the football field and the pep rallies and all that.
For Thanksgiving, we did Thanksgiving turkeys, which is where you write a positive note for a teacher. And then for Christmas, we planned on doing pictures of the pony and a sleigh for the families, but there was unfortunately a mishap with the ponies. They got freaked out by the lights, so we could not follow through with that plan. And then for Valentine's Day, we had a table where the kids could write a letter to their Valentine. Of course, we made it school appropriate.
For the future, for St. Patrick's Day, we do plan to do something there, whether it would be making shakes to sell or like a leprechaun gold hunt kind of thing. We would also like to host an open mic night and a breakfast for new students, which all the new students from this year would meet in the library and have a breakfast, get to know like some of the student council members will be there and some of the staff, so everyone will feel comfortable in being new to the school. And that's all. So we would like to just thank you for supporting us.
Thank you. We applaud you for what you're doing.
So my second presentation is Tenzing Hauser, and Tenzing partner was ill tonight, so Mrs. Mahalik is graciously going to accompany him, and he's actually going to be on the smart board presenting about the kindergarten project the anatomy students did. So if you guys want to come on up.
My name is Tenzing Hauser. For our anatomy class, we all went down to elementary school and taught some of the kindergartners about the heart. So my group in particular, we did the stethoscope, which is 2 funnels and duct tape. And I think we had about 3 groups, and there was about like 8 kids on our side, and there was 2 different groups in one classroom. So our group made the stethoscope, 2 funnels, cardboard. Each kid in a group made their own, roughly, and then we eventually ran out of supplies. Let it go. And surprisingly, for being made out of funnels and cardboard, they actually do work. And it was overall a fun time. I think most of the kids enjoyed it. I kind of had fun, even though some of them drove me crazy. And then there was some other activities, but they couldn't make it.
Yeah, I'll just explain real quickly the other activities. We had a great time. Right here, this is another station. There were 4 stations, and they used a T-shirt with an app that they could go in and see a beating heart, and then they could find their own heartbeat. So all the little kids were able to see that, and they were really fascinated by that. And this is a video. We did a blood volume challenge where they had to scoop out just as much volume as your heart does, and they were racing. So if you want to they're cheering them on and really supporting them. And this is the last station where they made like their own pumping mechanism out of cups and straws, and then they had like a little presentation on how the heart does that. So this is just a lot more pictures of how much fun everyone had that day, and it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and by the end of it, my kids definitely had been exhausted, but we both learned valuable lessons. The older kids, learned how to speak in front of others and do some things, social skills, and the little kids learned a lot too. So we all had a really good time.
And I believe I am done speaking to you all. Thank you for having me.
Just a moment, Miss Berry and I did get to go down and see that. We have I don't think we realize what an amazing thing we have here with our high school kids being on the same campus as the little ones. And for them to come down, Tenzing, I really appreciate, the work you're doing with those kids, not just you, all of you that were down there. It was amazing to be able to have those kids come down and do activities, and for little ones to see our high school kids. So we do have a pretty special thing here at our school to be able to do this. So it was really nice.
And if I could just comment on that, when they came back up from being in the elementary, I saw them in the office, and they were just talking about how exhausted they were. They don't know how the teachers do it, so they gave a big shout out to the kindergarten teachers, because it definitely is a lot of work to keep kindergartners busy and on task. So great job, guys.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. I love your T-shirt. The young man was up here, and that jacket is fantastic. The young lady had on. That's all.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. I might bring out, somebody might not have seen it. This is the first meeting that we're having live stream, so I appreciate you doing that. We wanted the people to be able to see the meetings. They can't make it, maybe they'll get online and look at it later. It's a good thing.
And this live stream is one of our classes, isn't it? Is it not, Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jess Hathaway's back there. She's running it. So Jess, thank you for doing this. And Travis was helpful in getting this up as well. So, and the kids that are coming to work. So
Thank you very much. Remarks from visitors? You have the association talking?
Yeah. May I tell the students their excuse?
Yes.
So they can go do their homework? So you guys are excused, you can go do your homework.
You need explain before we want to say everything it's on the agenda. Because we want to give them a chance to speak as a report too. So just so everyone knows, talking with them, we're doing constant meetings on monthly with the building reps, which I think is extremely helpful to get information out. So the teachers had asked if they could be almost a part of the board agenda. And so we did say that, as far as giving informational items on things that you see within the school, and we'd like to hopefully make this a permanent part to where the teachers have a say at board meetings, just to give it a chance so it can kind of keep the board up to date. So thank you, Mrs. Robinson.
You're welcome.
We started last year thinking of things that we give back to the community. So this year we initiated once a month trying to do something free for the kids in the community. So since we haven't been here before, I'm just going to get you caught up on it. In September, before the first home football game, we did a pregame activities where they had crafts and popcorn and hot dogs and did fun things like that, which was free to everyone there. In October, the Spanish Club did a Halloween party, and it was after school, and it was free to the kids. They had games and crafts and stuff like that at theirs. In November, there was a turkey trot for everyone to run, that they could run. December, the Leo Club did a breakfast with Santa. January, the esports team or group had a Minecraft tournament for middle school, which everything was free. And then tomorrow, the academic league for February, they're going to have an activity after school where the kids can come and play games. And I'm going to give a shout out to Fox's Pizza. He's donating all the pizza for the kids, and I think there's over 100 kids coming. So I thought that was wonderful that they're doing that. And it's basketball season, and the elementary basketball has 85% of their kids have never played ball before. So it's not as competitive, but they're working on fundamentals to try to keep the kids interested so that they know what's going on. And the boys were invited, the elementary boys were invited to a high school game, and they came out and they stayed on the court during warm-ups. They came out of the locker room and they stayed out for the national anthem. And then the entrepreneur class with Mrs. Menhart, she started on the pillars. She's collecting t-shirts from all the businesses from entrepreneurs that have graduated from Carmichael's. So as she's getting the t-shirts in, she's framing them and hanging them on the wall to display to our kids that you can start your own business and be successful. And that's it from us. Okay?
Mr. Robinson, can you make sure that the owner of the Foxes, I think, would deserve a letter of appreciation and thank you.
Sure. Can I say something? Sure. I want to thank you also for, as I heard you talking about this, all of this is after school.
Yes.
And Mr. Director knows I'm a big proponent of that. I really appreciate that, and thank you very much.
And it's free for the kids too when they come.
Fantastic.
There's
Any other remarks from visitors? I'll move on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Martin. I want to take a moment to offer my thanks and gratitude to Jessica Franks, since she is with us here tonight. And I want to do this because she's gone above and beyond in taking time to plan for and teach an extra group of students in the district's time of need while we were trying to fill a special education position. Jessica has shown tremendous leadership skills in planning, preparing, and delivering content that has made a difference in the lives of many children. With this, I offer a certificate of appreciation to Jessica Poppernak for outstanding service, dedication, and professionalism to the Carmichael's Area School District. Jessica, could you come up, please? There's that. Can I get a picture of you? Or Mark, could you take a picture of both of those? Just go right here.
Ready? 1, 2.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. And I just really think we need to recognize teachers for going. So I did ask Jessica to come tonight. I didn't want to present her with that. And I want to do more things like that for our teachers to recognize the good things they're doing. Just one other thing real short. At the end of the meeting, I'll be giving an update on our comprehensive plan. So if anyone wants to see that, stick around and I'll give a brief overview of the comprehensive plan when we get to the strategic planning part of the meeting. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Any questions from Mr. Morgan? We'll move on. Elementary principal.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gordon. So I got two things I want to talk about today. The first one kind of piggybacks off of some stuff that we've already heard with our high schoolers being fantastic and being able to come down and doing all those activities with our kindergartners. Wanted to let you know prior to that, Thursday, February 10th, kindergarten students in the morning participated in our first ever, we called it Kinder Cardiology Day. So prior to the high school kids coming down in the morning, our teachers put the kids in different centers. And they did a number of activities. They identified phonemes and words through heartbeats. They matched colors of hearts. They counted syllables for each of the medical helpers, their titles. They completed heart-related mathematics addition, and they showed an understanding of rhyming and words and pictures as it related to the heart. It was a wonderful activity. I have to just share one of the rooms that I thought was fantastic. Because actually somebody's here today. It's, Mrs. Lauren, when you went in, she actually had it like kind of tapered off with drop cloths like an emergency room. So each of these groups were working in their little pods. We had some hanging IV bags, things of that nature. So I just thought it was very, very well done. Our kindergarten team consistently goes above and beyond to do wonderful things like this, so I just wanted to share that with everybody. The second half of that, I won't read that because that's a lot of stuff that was repeated there, but below that I would like you to see some of the pictures of the activities of the kids that were doing this. Everything from just the way that it was set up to even the kids, those are medical headwear that they're using as well. So I just thought it was a fantastic opportunity. So I wanted to share that with everybody. The other thing that I did want to talk about was, we're really pushing an effort to recognize the fantastic things that our teachers are doing. And I think we really are doing fantastic things. So in order to really start to get that send that message out a little bit more, we're doing something called the Mike's Mention Initiative. And basically at a bi-weekly faculty meeting, we recognize a teacher who goes above and beyond to do amazing stuff, make the educational environment a better place, and just do wonderful stuff for kids. After we recognize those individuals, they do get a certificate. We ask them to fill out a short biography, and we have been posting those on our school social media page. I just think, it's one of those things where you have individuals who are working so incredibly hard and making such a tremendous difference in the lives of kids. I think the least that we can possibly do is recognize them there, and also want to show the community that these people are doing wonderful things. So for that, just continue the work. We have amazing people here. Last thing, I had 29 observations completed, so I just want to give everybody a number on that. And that concludes my report, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Any questions?
I got a comment if I could. Just like to thank you for putting all that information on that social media. I look at it almost every day.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
And I would say I appreciate that. A lot of that is my grade level teachers. Whenever they're doing something good, we say, put it out there. And I think that's a wonderful thing for unfortunately, COVID stuff, you can't have people in all the time. And I think it does a great job of reaching out to parents, grandparents, and just the community in general.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry, I did want to throw one last thing. Those are pictures of 4 of our winners so far. Should definitely recognize that at the bottom. So.
Any more comment? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Middle school board, Mr. Coleman, down the block.
I would like to start out by saying thank you to everybody in this room for my transition thus far. It's been smooth, and I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with. With that being said, I gave you 2 different pieces of paper. One is basically an agenda, and the second goes into detail a little bit more with, keeping in tonight's theme with teacher appreciation. You guys are doing some great things in the classroom. Our middle school teachers are. So if you just go down to things that are happening in the classroom, that kind of goes along with, what Mr. Rostoko, Mr. Perkins, and these are just a few that I've actually visibly seen. And that's just a quick synopsis of what they're teaching your students in the classroom. When you jump up top to the important dates, and it says details included, we have a 6th grade field trip going to Carnegie next week that the kids are very excited about. We also have a Sarah's Candy trip that the 8th graders are going to be going on, as well as the activities night that our 8th graders are going to be participating in with Mr. Berry tomorrow. So those are some great things that I've seen. Along with some other things that I've seen in here, if we jump back, and I'm jumping around, I would be very remiss if I did not mention Officer Miller, your school cop here. He has been instrumental in me settling in here. That guy knows everything that goes on in this building, and he makes me feel safe. So I know he's here, and I don't want to, Craig, thank you, because he has been great. So I did want to mention him, along with Ms. Blair, the guidance counselor, who has been phenomenal with working with your middle school students as far as the emotional and social aspects of getting back in a routine. Some data that I found was important that we talk about in teams was our 6th grade reading data from Miss Yannick. We've bumped up 8% from our first benchmark to our second benchmark. Hopefully, we're nowhere near where we want to be, but we are seeing growth, and that's the most important thing. On the back, you guys have a discipline report. We had 23 incidents since I've been here since the 25th, and that's a breakdown of kind of how the consequences went, or how I dealt with them. The last tab there is team discussion. As we mentioned before, in middle school we are very, very lucky to have that team time, and those are just a few of the topics that we deal with. We've dove into data the last couple weeks. We've dove into identifying students that have the possibility of being retained, and trying to find some interventions for them to make sure that they can pass and go on to the next grade and be successful. You have an attendance report from the last 7, last 30, and year to date, which I think 90 is not 100, but it's pretty good considering. That does take into account the cyber students as well. And Ms. Barr's report from the guidance office is also in that small packet. I don't want to, like I said, I'm not going to read it to you. You guys are smart enough to do that. But if you have any questions, please ask. Mr. Becky is also phenomenal. Mr. Berry is phenomenal. And the superintendent is phenomenal. I'm working the system right now. I have done 15 walkthroughs, and I'm going to learn how to do the observations. It's a little different from what I'm used to, but that's the next step. There's also a lot of things that we're going to work on here, myself included. Community involvement. I want to get out. I want to meet all the kids in the middle school. That's something I'm working on now. Seeing what they like, what they don't like. Meeting high school staff. I'm still working that part of the building, and meeting some of you, and getting to know you guys. So thank you again.
I just want to make a comment. I got stopped by parents that the son is in the middle school light sheet. So Matt was talking my ear off. I don't know the name of the student, but I just want to give some feedback.
I also have a neighbor, I checked you out, and he said, yeah, he's cool. So I appreciate the in-depth report. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you very much. Mrs. Reddy.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I'm going to hop around my report a little bit also. Mrs. Pellin and I had a meeting with the West Virginia University representatives, and we're discussing something that's called high school access. High school access is something that's offered for students who are coming out of their 9th grade year over the summer going into their 10th grade year, all the way until they graduate. And they are courses that could be taken online or in person at West Virginia University. We have a large group of our graduates that go there. So we have a representative coming into the building in March to meet with our students. Their only stipulation for the students is they have to have a grade point average 3.0 or better. And then they work with this counselor that's coming to meet with them to find classes that interest them, that then could lead to them going to West Virginia University or transferring them to another college such as Plattsburgh. We're excited to do that. We're also working with Jefferson Morgan because they do have this in their classes or within their building. We had a program like this before with California University, but that went to the wayside. Their union had a little bit of an issue with it. So we're excited to be looking at that opportunity for our students again. I'd like to recognize our school counselors in the district. Mrs. Pellin, Mrs. Barr, and Mr. Jackson are doing some phenomenal things. And National Counselors Week was last week, and they deserve recognition because they're working really hard and they're great with our students. Mrs. Pellin and I are changing how we do scheduling. So I'm fast forwarding a little bit. Starting next week, we're both going into the classroom. And we usually only meet with 8th graders to talk about like what is high school and what's a transcript and what pathways they can take. But this year we're going to go 8 to 11 and we're going to go into their rotation classes and talk to them about what are our specific career pathways. What is our district vision and goals and the pillars that they're learning within the classes, but just putting it together. And most importantly, talking about that state graduation requirement. Because starting with our 11th grade students, they now need to pass Keystones or have jobs lined up or have college acceptance. There's a whole bunch of different pathways. But we want to make sure that they understand that there's pathways, even though it's been in their handbook for years. We want to make sure that we're talking to them and getting the word out and certainly working hand in hand with them. Once we're in the classrooms, then we'll do small group scheduling. And our goal is to do the scheduling based on if they think they want to do a specific pathway. So we would pull them together and the scheduling conversation would be more geared towards the pathway that they would indicate during our whole class sessions that they're interested in. So we're going to try that and we're going to see how that works. We tweak scheduling every year since we've been here, but this is probably the most drilled down concept that we've done with them. So we're looking forward to that next week. That concludes my report.
Any comments? Thank you very much. Technology.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. New thing that I'm working on now is I found out our internet contract is up, so it's time to renew our internet, our ISP for the school district. The way that works, the IU has assisted me with filing what's called a Form 470. It's through something called E-rate, which I was unaware of prior to taking this role, but it's a federally funded program that allows for districts in rural areas like ourselves to receive reimbursement for the cost of bringing fiber and high-speed internet to these areas. Our reimbursement's at 80%. So whatever the cost of that fiber service is, and also whatever the cost of any additional equipment we might need to upgrade or continue maintaining our system, we get 80% back from this program. So it's a great opportunity in my opinion, and I mean anything 80% off I think is a good deal. We had to put out a 2 bid, and again I got to thank Kristen Banstream from the IU, she's insurmountable in helping me put that together. We got 2 proposals back. It's going to get confusing because they both had name changes. So Atlantic Broadband and Windstream, if you're from the area, obviously you're familiar, bless you, with those. Atlantic Broadband is now Breeze Line and Windstream is now Kinetic. So those are the 2 companies that gave us a proposal for purchasing new internet. Atlantic Broadband, which is now Breeze Line, is our current provider. And I'm just looking at not only what they're coming in cost-wise, but also looking at the reliability. I know, again, anybody local to the area knows that if you have Windstream, that's usually an unfortunate experience that you've all suffered from, and I'm guilty of that as well, is they're not the best as far as reliability has gone in the past. They're assuring me that that's all behind them, and I met with a gentleman from Windstream this past Tuesday, and supposedly they're tip-top shape. But again, talk's cheap. We've had Atlantic Broadband now for the last 3 years. Since I took over this role, we've never had an outage that was because of them. And in the last 3 years, I'm racking my brain, but I only remember one time when we had an internet outage that was actually Atlantic Broadband's fault. So they have been stellar as far as preventing any kind of outages and being reliable, which is that's definitely what you want out of your internet provider. Being a school district, being one-to-one, all of our devices are constantly connected to the internet. When that goes down, it's not the end of the world, of course. The show still goes on, but it's one of those things where it does hamper education, I believe so. So what I'd like to do is not only continue, obviously, with an internet service provider, but maybe look at the possibility of an upgrade. We have added, 1,000 Chromebooks amongst smart boards and different things to every classroom to make education better, but every single piece of device is taking that internet speed. And it's very similar to the running water in your house. If you're taking a shower and somebody flushes the commode, turns the dishwasher on, turns the washing machine on, all of a sudden that shower doesn't, quite come out as good. So that's how internet bandwidth works. I am looking at different proposals for upping speeds. Now, of course, it's not just as easy as turning us up. There are some additional hardware costs that are going to come with that. So I have the proposals. I didn't put any numbers in front of you tonight. I'm still kind of diving through them and looking through all the fine print. But if advisable by the board, I'd like to maybe have a committee meeting, and I can obviously schedule Mr. Moorcraft and invite everybody to participate who would like to. I'll present all my findings to you, and then maybe by March's board meeting, we can put this to a vote and pick our new internet provider for the next 3 years. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
I'm really pleased to see you connected with Kristen. I've worked with her down at the IU for years. She is extremely good with E-rate. She's considered probably one of the best people with E-rate anywhere.
Do you know she's retiring in April?
I do know that. So in the next 2 months, take advantage of that resource as much as you possibly can.
Yes, absolutely.
She's always had an eye toward Carmichael's that she will help us. Take advantage of
Yes,
that.
she has. Thank you.
Hey, Travis, when did you say our contract runs out?
June, end of June.
Okay, so we have
till June before we pick a new one, correct? Yep.
I appreciate you coming on this early so we can have a committee meeting.
Try to, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for now? Maintenance supervisor, Frank.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I'll follow on to what the technology report. We've been doing some backup power maintenance, batteries and UPSs. We're still locating, as of our last power outage we had, I have located some essential circuits that we actually weren't attached during the renovation, and we're cleaning that stuff up. Our crews have substantially completed all the filters on the last round of air filter changes. We should be wrapped up with them on Monday. We have some extra time to be able to finish. No students. We have begun to discuss our looking ahead a little bit to our outside work. 4 months to graduation, Mr. Vecchi and I have been discussing some of the initial plans for the outside graduation. And there's a million things have to go along with this, the sound system, the setup. The basic football field and groundskeeping, Davey and I had a meeting this morning about seeding, fertilizing, and so forth. I have my last two hires, and the generosity of the board to listen to me about what I needed has resulted in me now having 3 dependable subs and a cleaning crew that's improving greatly. And some of the issues we had at the elementary are getting resolved, and I appreciate that very much, that you realized that I couldn't attract any subs, and that it actually worked, because I got 3 people right now that I could call, and they're right there. I'll have the shortest report here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. And we appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
Student representative, we've already had that talk. Committee reports, human resources.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Policy, first reading. Motion to approve the first reading of policy item A below as presented. 008 organization chart.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. May, second. Any discussion on the motion? Having none, all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Policy, second reading. Motion to approve the second reading of policy items A and B below as presented. 610 purchasing subject to bid, quotation, and 611 purchases budgeted.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Right. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Sublist addendum. Motion to approve the substitute list addendum as presented.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Mr. May. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
School calendar 2022-23. Motion to table the approval of the school calendar 2023 until the March meeting.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Fair. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion has carried.
Health and safety plan revised. Motion to approve the revised health and safety plan as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Mr. Bryant. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Blueprints Early Learning Programs, MOU. Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with Blueprints for Early Learning Programs effective July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2025.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second to this motion? Second. Matches. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Memorandum of Understanding, CAEA. Motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding with CAEA as presented.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, second by Mr. Kraus. Any discussion on the motion?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Commons?
No.
Mr. Farrer?
Yes.
Mr. Gansey?
Yes.
Dr. Kraus?
Yes.
Dr. Matches?
No.
Mr. May?
Pass.
Mr. Pratt?
Yeah.
Mrs. Wojtek?
No.
Mr. Martin?
No.
Any pass, wish to change, Mr.
I'm going to go yes.
Okay, that would make it 5-4. The ayes have it. Motion passes.
That concludes my report, Mr. Martin.
Thank you. Budget Finance, report is needed. Mr. Matches, or you can motion.
IU budget, motion to approve the 2022-23 IU budget in the amount of $2,236,974 and the district share of $6,319.30 as presented.
Second.
Motion on the floor, seconded by Mr. Kraus. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Item number 2, Teacher Appreciation Week, May 2022. Motion to provide a luncheon prepared by the cafeteria and memento with cost not to exceed $20 per staff member during Teacher Appreciation Week, May 2022.
There's a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Kraus. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Athletics and activities, Mr. Gansey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Show you my report first? Going to get my report first?
It's the committee report, yes.
All right. Anyway, our committee had a walkthrough of the field house on January 21st, 22. Mr. Cranoff was there with us and so forth, and Mr. Franks was there with us for a while, and we just walked through and saw what we thought maybe needed some things done, and so everything's pretty good. Some of the equipment needs to be repaired. They said they were going to be taking care of it, so that was just to give the idea to the board that we did that. And the second thing I'd like to bring up is the Green Saver, that little newspaper that we have, that we get every I think it's every month we get that. But this month we had 2 people in athletics that I'd like to acknowledge. Sophia Thaler, she was acknowledged as the outstanding student athlete for her participation in basketball, I believe it was. And then also we had a young man who was also acknowledged as a student athlete by Green Saver. His name is Kristen Barish, and I'd like to acknowledge him. He was voted an outstanding athlete through the Green Saver. And also I'd like to state that Kristen, he also got 1,000 points in basketball. I was the head basketball coach at Williamsburg Central for 7 years. Had a couple people close, but they never made that 1,000th point. So I just want to acknowledge Kristen for doing that. That's good. I'll get to the rest. Okay. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for field trips, items A through D, below as presented. A, private pilot ground class, Washington Airport, retroactive February 3rd, 2022. Engineering Day, 20 participants. Commonwealth Charter Academy, February 24th, 2022. Youth Traffic Safety Conference, 13. California University, March 25th, 2022. Is that
There's no deal. We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Mr. Pratt. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion's carried.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of A. Hine, assistant football co-coach.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Wojtek, any discussion on the motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Make a motion to offer the assistant football coach position to Jacob Brush with the salary split with David Jones in terms per the professional contract effective the 22-23 season.
The motion on the floor, is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Mr. Wojtek, any discussion on this motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion's carried.
Make a motion to offer the assistant football coach position to Tyler Harkenbauer with salary in terms for the professional contract effective the 2022-23 season.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Wojtek, any discussion on the motion? I have one question. Is this a replacement of the assistant football coach? Any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion's carried.
Before I make this next motion, I just want to make a statement about Kevin Willis's request. I tell you what, I've been on the board for a long time, and a lot of requests came through at the athletics, but I tell you, that was the nicest request from Kevin that I've read. His emotion, his involvement in our program, I just like to state that. All right, Motion to approve an extra baseball coaching position funded by the baseball boosters for Kevin Willis with terms per the district guidelines effective the 21-22 season.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Pratt. Any discussion on the motion?
May I make a comment?
Yes, you may.
This is booster funded, the money to the district. It's the third junior high coach. We had to do that because in baseball, you got a first base coach and a third base coach, and you have nobody in the dugout. Or you put a coach in the dugout or a young kid on the bases with a helmet, which I think is very unsafe. So that's the reason why we added this. Again, it's booster funded, not district funded.
Actually, I do have a question now. So when we have games, does he get out early to go to these games, or is this an extra, I don't know how it works?
There are right now 14 junior high, he's a junior high baseball coach. There are 14 games, 7 home, 7 away. Any of the home games, we schedule everything late so the kids go to their last class period. Away games, of the 7 away games, 3 are close enough, maybe 4, that he would leave at the end of the school day and drive there. The other coaches would ride the bus. That arrangement was part of this when we asked him to do this.
Right.
There are a couple longer distance ones that we would have
So
to
it's
talk
minimal.
about.
Okay, very good, thank you.
He actually doesn't have a chemistry class at the end of the day,
Even
so.
better. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor of this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Transportation Building and Grounds, Mr. Ferry.
Motion to approve the request for facilities, item A below, for the Love of Dance recital, the auditorium and classrooms on June 8th, 9th, 11th, and 12th, 2022.
There's a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Boyd. Any discussion on this motion?
Question for Mr. Franks. Mr. Franks, do you see any problem with them being there? That's right after school's out, and I didn't know if there's a...
No problem at all.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Any other discussion, questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Bills for payment. I need a motion to approve the bills for payment in the amount of $1,073,641.96. You want to make the motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mack. Roll call.
Mr. Commons?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Stay.
Mr. Gansey?
Yes.
Dr. Kraus?
Yes.
Dr. Natchez?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Mrs. Wojtek?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
That's 8 ayes and 1 abstention.
Need a motion to approve the Secretary Treasurer and other financial reports as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Mack, is there a second to this motion? Second to the motion?
Second.
Grimes. Any discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved, the same. Motion carried.
Yes.
Federal program, Mr. Barry.
Yes, Mr. Martin, just 3 things to note that are just pretty quick. First, monitoring went out for our title programs. We're not in the active monitoring cycle. That'll probably take place next year, so just want to give everybody a heads up on that. One of the federal programs activities that we do is we go to Lakeside in March for a parent training. This year we're going to look at social emotional learning and being able to understand the developing technologies for distance learning. That comes at no cost. That is all done through federal programs, but I did want to make you aware of that. In my parent council meeting, we discussed that, and then we're up to 10 participants, so we're getting those numbers filled up pretty quick. Last thing is the ARP ESSER actual grant is due March 1st. I believe ours was finished August of last year, so we're a little bit ahead of the game on that, but just wanted to give you those reports, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Barry.
I make comment, the 7%,
Yes, you may.
the 7% set aside from the ARP ESSERs has started to come in revenue-wise. And that really moves people money. Thank you, Mr. Barry.
Thank you for doing that, Mr. Barry.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments from Mr. Barry? Moving on, public relations, nothing. Strategic plan representative, Mr. Collins.
Yeah, at this point, I've just learned the strategic plan has been replaced by the state to a comprehensive plan. And in their infinite wisdom, they changed one plan to 5, which I don't understand, but I think Mr. Moorcraft is going to be talking about that tonight, and I think it would be a good idea for everyone, especially people like myself that are new to the board, to see what is, to learn how this district is moving forward.
Can you get that one? Yep. Yeah. I went off the,
I'll close it.
Okay, I had this right in the beginning, so I just want you to see. Just real quick, our branding campaign that we talked about, resiliency, experiences, and careers. And one of the things that we said in this was we want Carmichael to be a destination school district for people who are moving into the county. And I want to turn to Mr. Berry for just a quick second because he had just a real quick story that he'd like to share that I'll get into.
Absolutely, and I think it speaks to the comprehensive plan as well as kind of the direction of our district. As I mentioned before, we had a parent council meeting last night. Got to meet a new parent who just has a little one just starting with us. And one of the things that I found very interesting in the conversation, they do a lot of work with fundraising and things of that nature. And when working in that capacity, she said when she moved into Greene County, she did a lot of research and thought that we were the premier district, which I was very, very happy about. And she said not only for the way that we kind of educate our kids in the environment, but she also talked about tax revenue and things of that nature, which she was a little bit more savvy than I am. So I just wanted to say that that kind of speaks a little bit to what we're doing here and the work we're doing. So I thought that'd be something nice to share.
So I had a slideshow playing for you in the beginning, and the reason for this is part of our comprehensive plan talks about the experiences and the careers we want to give kids. I put a slideshow together just going off our social media page that Mr. Gansey talked about, and just pulling stuff up there. So these are all pictures they were running through, and I'm going to make this a board piece every year. Have some kind of slideshow plan so you can see, because I think it grounds us to all understand what we're here for, and it's ultimately the kids. So everything here within these pictures shows what our teachers are doing as far as experiences, giving our kids experiences, helping with that resiliency because we have a lot of really, really needy kids, and showing how we're partnering out with the career piece as well, and partnerships. There's some partnerships in here as well. So I'm just going to let that play. I had that in the beginning just so you can see, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on. I think you should see what's going on there. Part of the comprehensive plan, we really worked hard when I started here new as a superintendent to talk about our vision statement. And the vision statement isn't mine. It isn't Mr. Berry's. It isn't even. It's the district as a whole. And we purposely worked together with members of the community and the teachers. I mean, I think I had a little dinner for our teachers. We had some pizza and salad. And we sat around. We talked and threw ideas around. I want to read our vision statement because it's truly a shared vision statement and just not something on a piece of paper. Carmichael Missouri School District seeks to provide exceptional educational experiences for each student through meaningful partnerships within and beyond the traditional education setting. We focus on student-centered, career-driven approaches emphasized through innovative design, technological mastery, creative scheduling, and instruction reinforced with real-world applications. This was done by everyone. This was a working document. Ideas were thrown around like crazy to get it where it is today. So it's truly ours as a district and not mine. So that was part of the comprehensive plan that we worked on. I just want to go through and just talk about a few things that we worked on as well as far as our educational value statements. There's a lot of work and a lot of committee work that goes into this meeting with community members. So just some brief pieces with students. We believe in participating in meaningful, engaging instruction, including project-based learning, traditional testing, and digital-focused mediums. We want to have collaborative involvement and provide us with connected stakeholder role in our own education. With our staff, establishment of positive relationships with students is critical. It's critical. Providing meaningful, engaging, real-life, applicable lessons, holistic education, academic, social, emotional, and career-driven learning with our staff. And I'm just reading you bits and pieces. There's a whole piece there. Administration, we believe in establishing positive relationships with all stakeholders, our teachers, our community. We want to promote career readiness, exposure to careers at the elementary level, studies of varied careers at the middle school level, and career pathways within the high school level. With our parents, working collaborative approach within the school, and working on fundamentals for students at younger ages. with diverse instruction. In our community, we believe our community must be invested in our school. We believe that our school serves as the hub for our community. Our steering committee, I'm just going to go through within this piece, and it is different now. And I did show Mr. Gomes, I know you weren't at the committee meeting, but I did show the board. There was the traditional piece from the comprehensive plans that you gave from the other districts. It has since kind of changed and morphed to the future ready FRC PP. You have to go in, and there's a ton of stuff to do within that. You have to identify strengths and challenges. So just identifying some strengths, there's a whole list of strengths, but I'm going to read some. Our English language arts literature all group exceeds the standard, demonstrating growth with a score of 82 in the high school. Students with disabilities are showing a growth score of 91. I think growth is integral. Our test scores, we have some students that struggle with families and some social emotional needs. Our test scores aren't the highest, but if you look at our growth, our students are showing tremendous growth. And I think that's a key piece. All student groups exceeding standard, demonstrating growth with a score of 100 within the middle school. Students with disabilities show growth score of 83 within the elementary center. We're exceeding standards for industry-based learning at 31%. All groups meets 2030 statewide goal for percentage of graduation 4-year cohort at 93%. Constant upgrades to technology to make teaching and learning more effective. And all student groups meet the standard, demonstrating academic growth score of 75 within middle school math. There's a ton of other strengths, but we did go down with some challenges. First off, 23.7% economically disadvantaged met the interim goal, and it's trending downward in the high school. That is a challenge. With that, what are the discussion points? Economically disadvantaged student groups continue to grow, so our economically disadvantaged students are growing. And there's a need to develop experience-based education that will allow them, the students, to see success as they move through our educational system. Another challenge, more mental health needs that can and need to be accounted for at all levels. The mental health needs of students is providing, and the gaps providing services becomes greater and greater year in and year out. The constant evaluation of education, of special education needs, with more and more students being identified within our special education. We're well above that average of special education students. Support in the schools and implementing evidence-based instructional strategies and programs to ensure all students have access to rigorous standards-aligned instruction is something we need to work on. We're getting better at this one, but partners with local businesses and communities. It was at the point when this was written, it was a weakness. I think now it's a strength because we were partnering with a ton of people now. And engaging in meaningful two-way communication, which is something we had talked about, to stakeholders, to share the responsibility for student learning across the district. That is something that is still continues to be a work in progress, and I promise we're going to get better at that. Going through the established priorities. So with that, it goes through to pick what are our priorities, and with the committee we worked on what are our priorities for the school. So one of our priorities was developing partnerships to allow reciprocation of services, of student learning and community service to help give back to our community while providing students with needed feedback. Another established priority was the development and training of blended learning techniques, further development of project-based learning, along with the development of career pathways that will be key in developing student passions for learning. A third priority statement, providing educational resources and services to allow students to feel safe and cared for in our buildings and our community, and allow them to see more successes with newfound confidence, which falls into our social and emotional learning category. And our fourth priority was there was a need to develop career pathways for students and individualize student education in a way that will allow personal experiences in job-like settings. Now with that, there was an action plan that was put into place. The first evidence-based strategy was a career pathway development. And our goal was students placed in broad career pathways to engage in a choice of possible career opportunities. That is met. Okay, that is a goal that we set. That goal is met, and we were actually, we finished that goal way sooner than we thought we'd finish it. We didn't even think we'd have our 4 career pathways built, and I give Mr. Gervecki a ton of credit. We have those built right now. Partners in education, partners developed with community businesses and virtual partnerships across the globe. That is met and it is continuing as well because we do have partnerships built, but we want to make that better and we want to get more people involved. So you can see what Mrs. Manhort is doing with our entrepreneurship. So partners education, it's a met goal and we're continuing to complete it. Establish a course catalog for healthcare and human service pathways. That is completed 100%. Mrs. Gervecki has that. And we're adding to it too. Develop a coursework for technology and engineering and business finance pathways. that is met, but we're continuing to do it. I know we want to have some talks with Dr. Matches to talk about the business side so we can develop that even further, but it is met. We do have some courses built into that. Experience-based practices for middle and elementary students, look on our board right there, met, and we continue to grow that as well. Course catalog for all 4 pathways with diploma and endorsements. That's something we want to work on. Eventually, we want to have endorsements where kids not only get a Carmichael's diploma, but they also get an endorsement within one of our pathways as well that will hopefully help them as they're moving into college. And then another piece, and Dr. Matches talked about this, all students placed in career paths using post-graduation data for placement in career fields. We want to start reaching out to these kids once they graduate and find out how they're doing within their career fields. And we have a lot coming back, and Mr. Director has always set that up to where we have alumni coming back to our schools to talk to our kids. So some great things are happening with that. Our evidence-based strategy of mental health supports, social emotional program development. It is in place. We have a 7 mindsets, but we need a reboot. COVID has really put a squash to it. So we're talking about this next semester here, into the last 9 weeks, getting a reboot into that program because it is greatly needed for our students, and then attacking it full force next year. Establishing coursework and resources and services to give to all students across the social emotional education. I believe that's met, but I think it's something we need to work on even more. We need to give our kids more resources because they have a lot of needs. SEL curriculum in place, procedures for identifying students in need of student-led forums. Again, that's met and continuing as well. And as far as monitoring and evaluating that SEL program, all students enrolled in the SEL resource list and student mental health needs, again, met, but continuing to build as well. If you look at our experience-based strategies, learning designed around experiences, I think that's a continued work in progress. You can look on our board there. Our teachers are giving our kids tons of experience, and I do have some data to give you right at the very end. The blended learning training is one that we have not met yet, and it's just been hard with COVID. Really want to kind of dive into some pilot programs, I think, with that with certain teachers to work on that blended learning principles and how we can give them more, more experiences. So that one is not met yet, but it's something that we're going to work on. Project-based cohorts, we have had 30 teachers go through project-based learning training. That was all grant funded, no cost to the district, and hopefully we can get some more grant money and get some more teachers trained. But having a good 30 teachers trained is a pretty good piece right now. So anticipated outcomes, course design for students using blended and project-based principles. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. And then the monitoring evaluation of that piece, coursework evaluated on set principles through teacher evaluation, and that'll work with the teacher evaluation system to put that in there. So we're going to tell teachers this is evidence we want to see as we're going through. So as they're making their rounds and evaluating teachers, those are things we're going to start looking for in the evaluation process as well. A couple other pieces, like Mr. Coleman said, they split it up into different plans. Professional development plan, it all is based off of those needs that we decided. So the trainings that we're providing, we're trying to provide experience-based trainings. The project-based has already been done. The blended learning is coming. The social emotional will be continuing. So there was a professional development plan that worked into that as well. And then we worked with IU as far as the induction plan. So all of our new teachers run through this induction plan. It's not a Carmichael's thing, it's an IU thing. But we have been part of the IU to develop this program. Every new teacher comes in, they get a mentor, they go through the IU program. It's really good, I think, to get them started within our system to understand. And plus having a mentor within the school, I think, is a big piece as well. So that's kind of the quick breakdown of that. I'm going to give you a little piece of data. I know you guys want some data. We did a little survey with our teachers. The survey was completed on 12/22, so you're looking at only half the year. So I sent all the teachers this, so they got to see this. Plus, I'm going to give you the survey. The teachers got the surveys as well, so they can look at that for ideas. So with this survey, we had a 71% response rate from our teachers. 71% of our teachers responded. I saw a couple in the meantime, and they were like, "Oh, I was sick," or "I was out," or they would have put more stuff, which would have tremendously raised a lot of these fields as well. When this survey was completed, 91 days of school. Within that, our teachers in that time period provided 120 career opportunities. 148 authentic experiences were provided to our students in that 91 days. 128 career contacts identified. 40 incredibly resilient stories were shared with me. I shared my resilient story with our teachers and with our kids. I had 40 teachers reach out and share stories with me. Some said they would like our stories, some didn't want their stories shared, but it was incredibly touching for them to share that experience with me and trust me with that, to hear their story, their experience. I just can't say enough. 155 experience ideas were detailed, and 110 career ideas were generated through that survey as well. So this is what has happened in 91 days of school. And I'm going to give this to you while I finish up here. So what you're going to get in this packet, you're going to get that sheet just so you can see that data on there. But you're also going to see, not the resilient stories, because I promised the teachers I wouldn't share that, but you're going to see the experiences they're providing. And it was eye-opening because I simply can't be in every classroom. And teachers, oh, I'm sorry. And teachers come to me and they tell me, hey, if they tell me, hey, come and see this, I'm going to see it. So they're sharing that stuff with us. And but again, I don't get to see everyone. Having this survey, I got to see a ton of stories and what your teachers are doing and what your administration is doing. It is amazing. It is amazing. There are great things happening in this district, and it's nice now to see. We put forth those visions and all that, and we're finally starting to see those fingers kind of creep in to what we're doing and what I'm trying to present to them and what we're trying to work with them with. And this year, to see that come to fruition, it's incredible. So there are great things happening. There really are great things happening in this district. I think you have great leadership here with your principals. I think there were some great leaders within the high school, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. My ending piece on this is the 3 years is just about up on the comprehensive plan, so we're going to be starting that cycle again. So anyone who would like to be a part of that, we're going to start committee meetings. I want the community involved. So if there are people within the community that want to help with that, we welcome you. And we want to develop this plan. Our comp plan is truly developed for what we're doing in this school. It's not simply a piece of paper that's getting stacked on the shelf. This is truly a plan that we're using with our school, and we're seeing dividends for it. Test scores may not be improving right now, but I really think a side piece of what we're doing in this district, providing these kids experiences, develop their passions, that's when true learning happens. And I think down the road we're going to see this pay dividends to where those test scores will start jumping up, but it's going to be because of the experiences that the teachers are getting. So thank you for listening to those bills. Sorry to add to the meeting, but I do want to share with you because I'm very, very proud of what we're doing here. And I want to share with you the things that are happening in this district so you can see. So yes.
Two things. First of all, is there any way I can get a copy of that comprehensive plan or the board?
Yeah.
Okay, because we had the summary, right? The old, we didn't have that.
No, the ones that you approved, however long ago it was, you did get copies of that, but I'll get you copies again.
Email me fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
The other thing is too, and don't forget about all the people in the community that come in. These pathways are good ideas. I think they really are. A lot of town in Carmichael's area, in Crucible and all surrounding areas and stuff. So, bring people in from the community to talk to these classes.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. Part of this career experience is we want to bring people in. Like I said, I shared this story with Brittany Bell, who brought a NASA photographer by Zoom, and gave the kids. The kids didn't even know you could do that. I look back when I was a kid. I grew up in Blogtown, and all I knew was I was going to be a coal miner. My dad was a coal miner. My uncles were all coal miners. My grandfather were coal miners. And I didn't even know about anything else. I was just going to be a coal miner. And thankfully, I got some experiences and got to see the world a little bit through a college program that I joined in 8th grade. But we have to give our kids those experiences now. So giving them a little bit of experience in elementary, giving them more and more opportunities to see what's out there in elementary, and then letting them choose that path. And they can switch your pathways. We're not going to say what you're choosing in 9th grade is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. But at least they have a choice, and at least they have an understanding, and at least hopefully they're developing a little bit of a passion, which is going to definitely transform their learning. I think we all know, once we figured out where we wanted to go, once I figured out I changed majors a ton of times in college. Once I figured out I was going to be in education, boy, my grades changed dramatically. They were bad. Look at my transcript. They weren't bad to begin with. But I was in microbiology, I was in nursing, I was in med tech, and my mom was a kindergarten teacher, or kindergarten aide. She said, why don't you try kindergarten? I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. And I went and volunteered, and honestly, I fell in love with it. And that's why I'm where I'm at today, was because of that. And I think we all know once we find that passion, true learning happens. And then, now the test scores are improving. Now, we have a lot of needy kids. We have a lot of needs here. we're going to do the best we can to give our kids some true experiences to make their education better.
Okay.
So, yes.
Just, I don't know if you watch the social media or not very much, but anyway, I get on almost every night. And you can just see the respect and so forth for the kids and the students and the teachers, like I said, they're just doing a great job working down that elementary. I see on that social media.
Not just there.
What they're giving the kids that chance to do, that's important.
It's
Get them
across.
involved.
It's across all levels.
Yeah.
Our
I
middle
just wanna
school,
say-
yeah. Or I know the elementary kind of hogs it up the social media sometimes because they're always doing. But it's happening in our middle schools and our high schools as well. It really is. There's, like I said, there are tremendous things happening, which is why I'm going to give you more of these pictures and hopefully to help you understand like why this comprehensive plan was written the way it was. It wasn't written to say we're going to drill and kill and improve. It was written to give our kids experiences. So the byproduct is that school. So I just want to share with you. If you have any questions ever, come see me. If the community has questions about what we're doing, tell them. If they're asking you and you don't know, tell them to see me. That's my job, is to tell them what our educational process is happening. And I can tell you when we talk about, there's a lot of complaints come through about different things here and there. I've not had one complaint in my time as superintendent about what we're doing in education. Not one parent has called me and said, you're doing this wrong in education. I haven't had any of this wrong. Now, stuff about, discipline or sports or, but as far as what we're doing in education, I've not heard a single complaint. So if you're hearing those things or people are questioning to you, have them call, have them come see me. I'll walk them to school, I'll show them what we're doing. We've had multiple, state senators and representatives come through, our commissioners came through, they're blown away with what's happening in Carmichael. So just, I want you to understand that, and please, if there's anything, come see me. I'll be more than happy to share anything that happens. If I don't know, I'll find out and I'll get back to it. So, thank you for bearing with me for.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I would like to also say that the board's considering having a public meeting night, maybe sometime in the summer, where the public can come in and ask the board questions. We'll sit on the stage and the administrators and just open it up to the public what they want from this school, the parental input. So we're thinking about doing that also. Okay. Let's see, GCC and TC representative, Mr. May. And before you start, I'd just like to say something. How long have you been doing this for this?
Since I was elected to the board, I got stuck.
I just want to recognize Mr. May for the time he put in. I recognize Mr. Cross last time for his IU experience, and I just like to recognize him for the time he put in.
Well, thank you. I can say this, we have a good board, representatives from each school in Greene County, and we have an excellent director, and some very good teachers also. So it's a real good group to work with. Thank you. A while ago, I mentioned that we were going to lose our nursing instructor. It was our adult program nursing instructor, which is a key program out there. It's a very important one. We actually make money on it, so that makes it even better. But we thought that was going to be very hard to replace, but Mr. Cooper was able to find a replacement who seems very good. Her name is Joni Kosic, so she's going to be our new practical nursing instructor when the time comes. And we were able to replace fill the coordinator position with Ms. Judy Swaber, who already works there, but they've changed it up a little bit. So that program is intact. We were really worried about it because nurses make a lot of money right now. Finding one that wants to come and teach and so forth, it was a worry. So that's in place. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and I mentioned it way back when, that we were going to have some property donated by the coal mine that was going bankrupt and so forth. So they didn't donate the piece of property that we originally looked at. It was really nice. But they're going to donate a piece of property that's on Portland Road. I'm not exactly where that's at. It's in Franklin Township, I believe.
So if you go past Margaret Miller,
yes,
across the bridge, it's on the right-hand side right there. Yeah. Going towards Blacksville.
Yeah, so because I haven't looked at it. And that's moving very quickly right now. The lawyers are all talking, and we have to go ahead for that. And the nicest thing about that piece of property is that there's a very nice building on it already that is in very good shape. Of course, the CTC will have to put some money into it, in the facilities, and it has a lot of property there. So, looking ahead, we may be able to put some classes out there. I know our welding class is one that's always full, and we, may be able to expand something out there. I think our cosmetology program also is another one that's full, and hoping to down the road, I'm not talking, we may not even be able to do it next year, but, by the time we get the facility and get it ready and make the programs work. And then the other thing was, we talked about this heavy equipment program, that, we want to train these guys to run heavy equipment, and you obviously can't do that where the building's located now. So there is some room out there, and hopefully we can get that moving also. And this group was very good about partnering with people and finding money and so forth, but there probably will be some expenses in the future. I know we're getting a refund back this year somewhat. I believe Mr. Warcraft said that we might be. And but in the future, there's probably going to be some money, but he's pretty good about offsetting that just as much as he can. So I'm real excited about that. Just wanted to share that with you.
Just to back up on that, we visited that site multiple times. There's actually 2 properties that they wanted to give us. This one is the most developed. It's a really nice piece of property. And the CDL, bringing the CDL there too. So piggybacking the CDL on top of the heavy equipment. A kid that can drive his own equipment to a site, unload it, do work, and put it back on again. They can be key to helping kids get jobs. Lou's right. It's an amazing site, amazing opportunity for kids in our community, our adult education as well.
But to my point earlier on, you can't disrupt. The time the kids get there, you can't do hands-on if you're not there. So that's my quote about the good options. Thank you.
Any questions from Mr. Mayor? Does anybody else have anything for the good of this school? He didn't have anything. If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Yancey, second. Mr. Rouse. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.